The world remembers World War I as a clash of empires, armies, and political rivalries. But buried deep inside history lies a shocking truth. The spark that ignited one of the deadliest wars in human history did not come from a planned attack, a major conspiracy, or a calculated strategy. It came from a simple mistake, a wrong turn made by a driver who had no idea that his misdirection would change the fate of millions. For decades, this moment has remained overshadowed by the scale of the war that followed. But today, we explore the hidden story behind that wrong turn, the chain reaction it set off, and how a single accident reshaped the entire world. The city of Sarajevo, a mission already failed. On June 28, 1914, Sarajevo was tense. Crowds filled the streets, soldiers guarded pavements, and a motorcade carried Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria. Several assassins were stationed along the Archduke's route, armed with grenades and pistols, ready to strike. But everything went wrong for the assassins. The first attacker froze, the second missed. The crowd panicked. The Archduke escaped unharmed. By midday, the assassination mission had completely failed. The conspirators scattered, defeated, and hopeless. Among them was a young man named Gavrilo Princip, who sat in a cafe, believing the historic moment had passed and all their planning was wasted. He didn't know fate was about to bring the Archduke directly to him. The fatal wrong turn. After the failed attempt, the Archduke insisted on visiting the injured from the earlier attack. His driver, unfamiliar with the new route, took a turn onto Franz Joseph Street, a street that had been removed from the updated security plan. It was the wrong turn. The car rolled forward, the engine slowed, and then, unbelievably, it stalled. And it stalled right in front of the cafe where Gavrilo Princip stood. It was a moment so unreal that even Princip froze for a second. Imagine the shock. The man he had failed to kill earlier was now sitting helplessly in an open car just a few feet away. No guards reacted quickly. No one shouted instructions. And in that brief gap of time, history changed forever. Princip stepped forward, raised his pistol, and fired 2 shots. Those bullets didn't just kill the Archduke, they detonated the world. Why that wrong turn mattered more than the bullets. People assume the assassination caused the war. But the truth is far more complicated. The assassination was only the trigger. The real explosion came from what already existed beneath the surface. Alliances and tensions waiting for an excuse. Before the shots were fired, Europe was a powder keg. Nations were forming secret agreements, stockpiling weapons, and competing for global influence. Governments were paranoid. Generals were eager for conflict. Borders were fragile. But no one had a reason to go to war. The wrong turn gave them the reason. Within hours, Austria blamed Serbia. Within days, threats escalated. Within weeks, nearly all of Europe was dragged into a war nobody fully understood and nobody was prepared for. A mistake on a street became the match that ignited the entire continent. The chain reaction, how a local accident turned global after the assassination, events unfolded with terrifying speed. Austria-Hungary issued an ultimatum to Serbia that was designed to be impossible to accept. Serbia tried to negotiate, but Austria rejected every attempt at peace. Germany supported Austria. Russia supported Serbia. France backed Russia. Britain prepared its fleets. And within a month, the world stood on the edge of destruction. This wasn't simply political tension. It was a domino effect created by decades of rivalries, fears, and alliances. The assassination was used by leaders as justification for conflict they had already expected. and in some cases, secretly wanted. But without the wrong turn, none of these alliances would have activated. The war might not have happened at all, or at least not when it did. It was a moment where fate overpowered politics. The dark secrets that emerged. Later years after the war, historians uncovered documents that revealed unsettling truths. Some advisors warned Austria not to retaliate so harshly. Some leaders believed war would strengthen their political positions. Newspapers manipulated stories to turn public emotions toward anger. Intelligence reports showed that countries were preparing for conflict long before the assassination. The wrong turn wasn't just a tragic accident. It was the opportunity certain political groups needed to unleash decades of hidden tension. The bullets fired in Sarajevo were real, but the war behind them was already built. The numbers that tell the true cost. World War I lasted more than 4 years. It destroyed empires, redrew maps, and scarred generations. More than 20 million people died. Kings lost their thrones. Economies collapsed. Families disappeared forever. And Europe's political landscape was dismantled piece by piece. All because of a driver who took a wrong turn into the path of an assassin who thought his mission had failed. It is one of the most haunting reminders of how fragile history truly is. What if the turn never happened? Historians often ask one question: would World War I still have happened without that wrong turn? Some argue yes. Tension was already building. Alliances were too tight. The military buildup was too intense. Conflict was almost inevitable. But others believed the world would have taken a different path. More diplomacy, more talks, more time for peace. The assassination only succeeded because of the accidental turn. Without it, Serbia wouldn't be blamed so quickly. Austria wouldn't have justification for war. And Europe might have had years before its tensions exploded. This moment shows how history is not always shaped by powerful leaders or great plans. Sometimes it's shaped by a single mistake, the accident that changed the world. The story of the wrong turn in Sarajevo is a powerful reminder of how unpredictable history can be. An event lasting less than a minute created consequences that lasted a century. The world that exists today, its borders, alliances, and conflicts, can all be traced back to that moment. One misdirection, one stalled engine, one assassin standing on the street, one decision that no one expected. The war that followed destroyed empires, reshaped nations, and set the stage for every major global conflict that came after. And it all began with a single wrong turn. Closing line: sometimes history doesn't change because of great plans. Sometimes it changes because of one small mistake that the world never forgets.